Today, I'd like to talk to you about three things. First of all, we want to do some sight singing because I had left you with the assignment that we had some sight singing melodies to practice since I saw you last. And so we'll do that first in our warm-up, and we'll sing those melodies together, and I'll get you to sing with me. And then today, they released all of the details about how the AP Music Theory test is going to go and what you have to do to prepare for it. And I want to show you all of those details this morning so that we're all on the same page. We know what we have to do to get ready to take the AP Music Theory test on May 19th. And, it's going to happen at different times during the day. I'm in Central Time here in the Dallas area. And so the test here in my area happens at 11 a.m. But you can see the times on May 19th when you will be taking the exam. And lastly, I just want to talk one more time about part writing guidelines and just review those a little bit before we go today. And then I'll talk about next week also before we leave. So let's get started. Here are the sight singing melodies that I left you with day before yesterday. And these are ones that are fairly close to the last couple of years. And they're very much like the melodies that we'll have on the AP test this year, I'm certain. And you can probably look at these and you can kind of tell that there are two melodies, obviously, as we talked about last time, in each exam. And so the first melody, if you look at these, probably looks like it's a little easier than the second one. And they're actually designed to be that way. So let's get started reading, and let's take one of these at a time. So here was the sight singing melody 1 from 2015. And I've given you once again what you can write underneath the notes as you are in the middle of the test on May 19th. And so first of all, I'm really a Do minor person, as we've talked about over these last weeks, because I think when something is all in minor, it makes sense to do it in Do minor, and that way Do and So feel the same as in a major key, Re and Fa sound the same as in a major key. And it just makes sense to me that Do is Do and So is So. But scale degree numbers, fine, that works well. And of course, La minor, La Ti Do, works also very well. So let's give ourselves a pitch. This is in bass clef. Okay, my piano's got a little, this tiny piano sounds like it has some reverb there. And I will mention after a little while about how you might get a virtual piano if you need one. This is a physical piano, but it's a little 25 key, and my big fingers don't do it too well on it all of the time. But we can use it to give a pitch. So this would be the pitch. And then let's sing together. I'm going to sing solfege, the Do, Re, Mi. Okay, and this would be kind of like our practice time because you can play the melody with yourself. Ready? And here it goes. Do, re, mi, do, re, mi, fa, sol. Le, so, fa, mi, re, ti, do. And then, of course, if you wanted to sing my morning, I've got to get my voice warmed up here. And so depending on when you take the test, be sure that you've warmed up before. I warmed up a little bit this morning, but probably not enough. And so I probably needed to warm up a little bit more. And so keep that in mind. Know how long you're going to need to warm up so that your voice is ready to sing. But this one, when we go from this pitch down here up to this pitch, and this is the A flat up there on the top. Okay, So do, re, mi, fa, sol, la. That's not a very wide range. And what I said last time is that most of the time you don't have to change the key of the melody because it's going to be in the lines. It's going to be where most people can sing in that range. Okay. If you did this then for the performance, you can't use the piano or any instrument or anything else. And so you have to sing it without any accompaniment or anything. So now, well, you can give yourself a pitch like that, and then you would have to go, I'll sing La minor this time. La, ti, do, la, ti, do, re, mi, fa, mi, re, do, ti, si, la. And don't forget about that last note. You've got to hold it full duration. And then if you were scoring that one that I just did, it was pretty good, don't you think? Actually, I probably made a 9 because for each half measure, I got a point, and the flow point I got also because I didn't stop. Okay, let's go to the next melody. This was in 2015, Sight Singing 2. And here are the things that probably make this a little harder, supposedly. It's in 6/8, so it's in compound meter. As I told you day before yesterday, I don't like to think that compound meter is any harder than simple meter. If you know those patterns, it won't be. Now there's one pattern in this one that is probably a little more unusual than the other patterns that are here, because on that rhythm square that I showed you last time, 3/8 notes, 1/4 dotted 8, 16/8, those are all very common. 3/8 notes, 3/8 notes, not a quarter note. So in the third measure, the second pattern there, the second beat of that measure, 2/16, 8, 8. So da, 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 that like that. And sometimes you might in your practice want to count off the rhythm. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 1. Okay, like that. Just count off the rhythm, however you want to do it with. If you have a counting system, or you just sing da, 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 or if you want to count the subdivision, 1 through 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 1 and 3, 4, 6, 1, 2, 3, 1 E 2, 3. Okay, like so, 4 E 5, 6 is what I meant to say. Okay, and so we give ourselves a pitch again, and this one has a pretty not wide range. It's a fairly narrow range. Do, ti. We'll sing with the accompaniment first. Ready? Here it comes. Do, ti, do, re, fa, mi, re, do, so, la, so, mi, so, mi, re, do, mi, re, ti, so, do. Okay, and I held out that last note also. And of course, there is that fee in this one, a raised fourth scale degree. So that supposedly makes it harder as well. Okay, going on to 2016. Here's the first one. Now look at the range on this one. This starts on D down here and goes all the way up to D up there. So if you sang do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, maybe a little high for some of you, you might want to go here. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So that you, but notice I just went one whole step down to C. And so you don't want to go very far away. Don't go like, okay, here's the pitch and go, oh, that's way too high for me. I'm gonna have to go do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Well, I guess it would be okay because there's not any note lower than that one, but you want to keep it in a good range for yourself. All right, let's sing. So here's the printed pitch, do. Let's sing with the melody, with the piano. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, sol, do, ti, la, fa, sol, fa, mi, re, ti, do. Okay? And then you sing it without. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5. 1, 7, 6, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 7, 1. All right. Still, my voice is not quite warmed up enough, but it's getting better. And 2016 SS2, same thing again. Now, this one really has got some more problems, I guess. There are those common patterns. Every single pattern is one that you really should be very familiar with, except for that first beat of the second measure, the ta, 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 ta. All right. But there again, that's a pattern in 6/8 that happens a lot, not as much as da, 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 as those kind 1/4 8, 3/8 notes. And then of course it goes with those on the others on the second phrase, da, 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 like so. And then you have some altered tones. You've got a phi over there, like we had in the last one in 2015 on the second sight singing melody. So this one is going to have this pitch right here, and it goes up to a D. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, le, do, re, mi, fa, sol, le, like so. And it starts on do. Let's sing with the piano, okay? Do, re, mi, re, do, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol, le, mi, sol, ti, do. Okay, yeah, that one's, maybe that D flat gets a little high for some of you, so you might want to go down, like to hear do, re, mi, do, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol, le, fi, sol, ti, do. And on both of these melodies in 2016, it was on the top one, re, ti, do at the end. In the beginning, do, re, mi, fa, sol. So outlining do, mi, so, and that. And then down here, do, re, do. So it just goes do up to me and back to re, back to do, I mean, filling in. So those patterns, ending melodic patterns and beginning melodic patterns that I showed you, those can really be helpful to you. And if you'll practice those from now until the AP test on May 19th, it's going to be good for you, okay? So then you would sing this, let's sing it on numbers, even though it's in minor. 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, 7, 1. All right, there we go. And finally, 2017. Okay, and in 2017, here's the pitch, and it goes up to that pitch, you know, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. I think that's a good range for most people. So we're going to go with the piano first, and you can be playing this out on your keyboard if you have a piano at home, or if you want to get a virtual piano. There are a couple that I would recommend to you. And so we'll have that. So here is do, let's sing. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, sol, la, ti, do, so, mi, fa, mi, re, do. Okay. That one's good. And then you would have to sing it without 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 5, 6, 7, 1, 5, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. And finally, the 2017 Sight Singing 2. And this one, once again, if you look at it, it's probably designed to be more difficult than the first one, but it is in simple quadruple meter, and it is in a minor key. So, you know, that makes it harder, and you see all these accidentals. What do those accidentals mean over there, by the way? Well, it means that we're doing melodic ascending and back to natural minor descending. And then look at that ending, sol, ti, do. Yeah, it has that sol, ti, do ending. The first melody had the fa, mi, re, do ending. Okay, so here is the D for the pitch. Do. So let's sing with the piano. Do, ti, do, re, mi, sol, re, sol, fa, mi, sol. Sol, la, ti, do, te, le, sol, ti, do. Okay. And for some of you, that might be a little high, you know, to get up to that D up there. So you might want to go do, ti, do, re, mi, sol, le, sol, fa, fi, sol. Sol, la, ti, do, te, le, sol, ti, do. All right. So we had some practice singing, and I hope you were singing with me using the system that you use, and practice sight singing from now until the AP exam, and you are going to be great. All right. Let's go on today. And, you know, yesterday they released all of the details about taking the AP Music Theory exam. So I'd like to go over some things about the exam with you this morning so that you know exactly what you're going to need to do to prepare for the exam, in addition to all of the things that Mrs. Foote and I have been working with you on during these last weeks. So first of all, let's take a look at this first one, taking the AP Music Theory exam, okay? And of course, it says there, this year's AP Music Theory exam involves special directions for submitting your responses. Be sure to review the step-by-step pages below and prepare your answer sheet and recording software app about 1 week before the exam. And that way there's time to practice and fix any problems before exam day, okay? So here are the things that they talked about, and this tells you everything that you need to know about getting ready for the exam, but you are going to have to do some things before the exam begins. So let's look first of all at this one, how the exam works. So I'm going to read to you sometimes, and then I'm going to annotate at other times. This year, the AP Music Theory exam consists of question 1, 2 part writing questions, and question 2, 2 sight singing questions. I think we've told you that several times already. You'll write out your response to question 1 on an answer sheet that you'll prepare before exam day, and you'll record your response to question 2 using recording software or an app. All right. And, you know, I think that on this one, we have some sample questions that you can use. And we're probably going to use these next week also. But let me just show you what this is, exactly what it will look like. This is what the test is going to look like. Let me make that a little bit larger if I can, like so. So here is question 1, and it says instructions. This is part writing from figured bass. Before you begin, accurately copy the following information from the question prompt below onto your prepared answer sheet. The key signature, the opening chord, the bass line, all figures below the notes in the bass line. And then before starting the assignment, double check that you have completely and accurately copied the question prompt. Copying errors may adversely affect your score. And then it says, realize the figure bass in 4 voices. Then the second question comes, part writing from Roman numerals, and the instructions say the same, basically the same thing. Accurately copy the following information from the question prompt below onto your prepared answer sheet. The key signature, the opening chord, all Roman and Arabic numerals shown below the staff, and so on. And those are the part writing questions. Then it comes to the question 2, which is the sight singing, and it gives you the time there. A lot of time is 15 minutes plus 5 minutes to submit. So on this, you may, some of your teachers may have shown you this, like I show this to my class. I'm not sure I got to it this year before the school was closed and we went into quarantine, but here's what it says. For each melody given, sing the pitches and rhythms accurately while keeping a steady tempo. You'll have 15 minutes to practice, record, and check that both melodies are recorded in a single file. For each melody, choose a starting pitch in a key that is comfortable, which is just what we were talking about a while ago when we were doing our sight singing this morning. Now, here's the thing. You have 15 minutes to practice. And so you can divide that practice, record, and check that both melodies are recorded. So you have to get the whole thing done in the 15 minutes. I have a question about that one up at the top, you know, where it says plus 5 minutes to submit. I'm not sure that means that it's 15 minutes. I'm going to ask a question about that and we'll get the answer. So, and by the way, I want to promo next week while I'm thinking about this, because next week is prep week and we're going to have 2 sample tests that you will take, just like on AP Day, just like when on May 19th, when we're taking the actual AP Music Theory exam. I really encourage you to be there next week. On Monday, I'm going to proctor the test with you. And on Tuesday, we'll go over the test and look at possible solutions and that kind of thing. Look how the sight singing went and listen. So I really encourage you to be with us next week. And then once again at 9, just like we are right now. And then also Mrs. Foote will do another practice exam on Wednesday and Thursday. And then we're going to have a kind of a wrap up on Friday and kind of celebrate and send you off with a lot of confidence, hopefully, that you will do well on the AP exam. So please come with us next week at 9 every morning and join in practicing, because it's going to be exactly like you'll do on test day, exam day. All right. So, you know, back to this one, you can sing note names, syllable names, scale degree numbers, or a neutral syllable. Most people who use some kind of system probably do best. But there are all of the ways, syllable names, scale degree numbers, just what Mrs. Foote and I have been talking about for these past weeks. You can transpose the melody. You can read all of this, and then of course there are the melodies that on the sample test that you will have. Okay, so let's go back to this page here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go all the way back to this page. Here are, oh, that's where I just was. Okay, the sample questions. I'm going to go to this page right here. And this is the actual answer sheet. Let me get that bigger. All right. So this is what the answer sheet looks like. And if you don't have a printer, for example, you can just copy on a piece of manuscript paper. I'll show you a completed one in just a second, but you can copy on a piece of manuscript paper. You could even draw out the manuscript paper with a ruler if you don't have a piece of manuscript paper. But the fact of the matter is, you've got to get this answer sheet ready before the test ever begins on May 19th. And that's real important. So you can print this answer sheet off if you would like. And you notice it's blank. That's because the question, the prompt, is not going to show up until the test begins on May 19th. And so that's how security is achieved with the test, so that we know that everybody has the same chance to do really well and make a 5 on this exam, or a 4 or a 3, and we hope you make a 3, 4, or 5, certainly. So here's the part writing from figure bass. And when the test begins, you'll copy in the key signature and the key, and then you will, in the figured bass one, copy the bass line and the figures underneath the bass notes. And then you'll work the part writing. You'll write the Roman numerals and so on, however you do that. And then the same for part writing from Roman numerals. You'll write in the key signature, and then you'll write the key down there and copy the name of the key and copy the Roman numerals. And then you'll go from there. You'll figure out what the chords are that the Roman numerals represent, and you'll write in the bass line, and then you'll finish out with soprano, and then add in the alto and tenor. All right, so this is the answer sheet, and you can print this off. And I would probably print a few copies of this just to practice with, and for next week as well. All right, so that's the answer sheet. Here is the one that shows you a sample answer. So this is a person who maybe didn't have a printer, and they just wrote the answer sheet out for themselves. So they wrote at the top, like on that answer sheet that I just showed you, there's a place for your AP number and your AP ID number, and then your initials, B and V, okay, in this person's case. And then they wrote question 1A, part writing from figure bass, just like on that answer sheet that you can print off if you have a printer. And then on the day of the test, they would have copied the key signature there, the D colon, and then the bass line in this case, because this is the figured bass one, and then the figures underneath the bass. And then they completed the whole figured bass one. Here is the one from Roman numerals, and you can see that they copied out everything on this one. They prepared the answer sheet from scratch. All right, then here's an example of one that is with the printed answer sheet. So they wrote in their AP ID number up there, WXYZ 1234, and their initials of their name, B and V, and then whatever was given. In this case, they would have been on the test day, they would have seen that it was 1 flat in the key signature, D minor, and so on. And there are the figured bass symbols. They'd copy the bass line and so on. And then part writing from Roman numerals, the same thing. So the reason you want to be with us next week is to practice this very thing, and you'll be able to do that quite easily and quite well, okay, with the practice tests that we're going to do. All right, and now let's go back, and here is the question 2, which is the sight singing. And this is just an example of what it's.
My AP ID number is WXYZ 1234. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 5, 1, 3, 2, 4, 3, 2, 7, 1. Do, mi, sol, fa, mi, re, ti, do, re, mi, fi, sol, ti, do, sol, mi, fa, re, mi, re, sol, do.
Okay, so that's what your answer for question 2 is going to sound like. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. But one of the things that you noticed on there is that both melodies were in the same file. That's real important. And we have to really be sure that we know how to operate the software or app that we're going to use. So let's go to that part. Download audio recording software app. This is so important, and that's why I want to talk a little bit more about this. For question 2, you'll need audio recording software and an app to record your sight singing responses. You'll then attach your file to the online exam. You should make sure you've installed the recording software or app about 1 week before the May 19th exam, so there's time to practice and fix any problems before exam day. So for example, if you're going to be with us next week, and I hope you will, you'll need to have that software ready. I would be sure that I practiced with it over this weekend before Monday comes, so that you're ready to use it to do question 2 on our practice exam next week. So very important, these things, because this can make your test score not come out like you want it, because we've got to be able to have these file types, either an M4A, an MP3, a WAV, W-A-V, or OGG. Okay, and then they give you a list in this particular update of all the recording apps and software that might be used. For Android, Recorder, Google LLC, or any free downloadable voice memo app. For iPhone, voice memos, that's an easy one to use, accessible via the utilities icon. I use one on there called Clear Record. There's a free version of Clear Record. And then Chromebook, any free downloadable voice memo app. And here's the one I really like. And I want to show you this because with Audacity, and by the way, Audacity works on either the PC or the Mac. You wouldn't have to use GarageBand, but if you're a Mac person and you use GarageBand already, you probably know how to record on there and download from that particular app onto your desktop in order to upload it to the test. Okay, but I want to show you about Audacity. I've got mine right here, and here's the cool thing about Audacity. If you use this, if you're using a computer, for example, to take the test, you can use Audacity, and it will just download the file to your desktop, and then you just upload it to the test. It's that easy. Whereas if you're going to do it on your phone or a tablet, you would have to get it to your desktop to download it. And that's the difference, I think. But in this also, all of the controls are right here. And let me repeat what I said earlier. You have to put both melodies in one file. When I've done sight singing tests and exercises with my students at Lovejoy High School, sometimes they would, some of them would put the melody in 2 files, like melody 1 was on one file and melody 2 was on a separate file. And some of them would do it all on the same file. But on this particular test, we're going to have to do both melodies in one file. So here's what you would do. You would start, and I'm not going to sing melodies right now. I'm just going to show how you would do this. And so you would start the recording and you would say, my AP number is WXYZ1234. And then you would hit the pause button right there. And be sure you say that number clearly. You're not going to say your name. You just say my AP number is, and then whatever your ID number is. Then now you're practicing the first melody, and you're how long you're going to practice is dependent on you. You have to really watch out though, because you've got 2 melodies that you have to practice and record at this point. So don't go and hit that square button. Only hit the pause button on Audacity. And excuse me, other apps are going to have that potential as well, whatever apps you might use. So next, I'm going to go hit the pause button, and I'm ready to sing. I'm ready to perform the first melody. So I'm performing the first melody and singing, sight singing melody number 1, and I get to the end of the melody and I just hit pause again. Okay, now I'm practicing sight singing melody 2, and I get it to where I'm ready to perform it, and I simply hit the pause button, and now I'm singing melody number 2, and I sing it. And when I'm done with that, now you can hit the square button and you stop. And here's the cool thing. Whenever you get ready to download this, you're going to go to export and look at the file types. Export as MP3, export as WAV, export as OGG. So those are the, any one of those 3 you could download or export, and it would be perfect for the test, because those are the formats that they are asking for. And so this is real important, because I want you to be sure you get the sight singing recorded correctly. And this is the way you would do it on Audacity. Now, I'm certain that you're probably used to using certain apps, and that's great. As long as you can export one of those file types, you're going to be okay. But I just think this one is a really great app, you know, or software that you can use, that has it ready-made right on your computer if you're going to use a computer to take the test. And then you'll figure it out other ways. And next week gives us a great time to practice this on 2 practice exams. So I really encourage you to be with us at that time so that we can do this. And you can practice, and that way you for sure be able to get it done in a timely manner on the AP exam on May 19th. This next thing, I'm gonna click right here. The 2020 AP exams are open note, open book exams. You may also use musical instruments, metronomes, tuners, or digital resources to help prepare your answers. And so with that said, you know, these open book exams, I want to call your attention to one thing, and that is collaborating with others is not considered acceptable open notes. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to call one of your classmates up on the phone and say, hey, what did you get for the second chord? You can't do that. You cannot do that. And I mean, I collaborate often in my classroom where I'm having students work together on a part writing assignment, for example. This is a test. And so you know that you can't collaborate at this point. You're on your own. We want to give you an opportunity to show your mastery of AP music theory and not someone else's. Okay. So with that said, I think that probably I have shown you what you need to know at this point. I'm gonna send these actual links to Mrs. Foote, and she's going to put it on the page with all of the handouts. All right. And so let's see, put that away. So hopefully if you have questions, we're going to be available, and next week will be a good time to send a question, and we'll try and answer any questions that people might have. All right. Last thing today, if I can get back to this place, and part writing guidelines, okay? This is part writing guidelines one more time. So I've got about 5 minutes, but this sheet, that looks just a little fuzzy this morning, but hopefully you can see that okay. So I put down 7 things there. I've shown you these before if you've tuned in like earlier lessons, and we've talked about these guidelines, but this is kind of in a concise 1 page that you might look back at, and you could even have this laying it on your desk on the day of the test. But realize that you're probably not going to have a lot of time to be looking at things and doing things. You're going to be busy writing that part writing exercise, both the figure bass and the Roman numeral. But for example, number 1, allow all tendency tones to resolve correctly. The leading tone, you know, if it's in an outside voice, the soprano or the bass, it must resolve up to tonic on the next chord in the next melody note, if it's in the soprano or in the bass, okay? The 7th of any chord, that is the chordal 7th, resolves down by step or holds in the same voice until it can resolve down by step. Very important. Don't forget about those chordal 7ths. They have to resolve down by step in the next chord or hold until they can. Number 2, parallel octaves, parallel fifths, or parallel unisons are unacceptable, except unequal fifths, like a perfect fifth to a diminished fifth, is really okay. Diminished fifth to perfect fifth it happens in music, but it's not my favorite. I would much rather use perfect fifth to diminished fifth, but just be aware that those unequal fifths aren't always unacceptable. But parallel perfect octave to perfect octave, perfect fifth to perfect fifth, perfect unison to perfect unison, those are unacceptable. And then I talked a little bit about parallel fourths. They're okay, but not between the bass and other parts. They're okay in the upper parts, but they're probably used more sparingly, definitely. Number 3, if it's possible to keep a note, a common tone, do so. And then the second part of this, if not, move each part by the smallest possible interval. If stepwise is possible, move stepwise, as long as it doesn't cause you problems, say with parallels that are unacceptable or something like that. Please avoid leaping by large or difficult and augmented seconds, augmented fourths, diminished fifths. Those are unacceptable in a melodic sense. You can't use those melodically. All right. Number 4, spacing. No, it's an octave or less between the soprano and alto, and an octave or less between the alto and the tenor in a vertical way. Okay. Number 5, no voice crossing or overlapping. I think we've talked about that before. Number 6, doubling. When there's a choice of which chord member to double, use the most stable tone present. Usually that's the root. Second in line would be the 5th. You don't want to double tendency tones, because then you would be causing number 1 or 2 up there. You would be creating problems like those if you don't resolve tendency tones. And then in second inversion chords, you always double the 5th of the chord, which is the bass note. All right. Number 7, never omit any note of a triad or 7th chord except the 5th, and only omit the 5th when you must do so in order to follow guideline 1, allowing tendency tones to resolve correctly. One other thing that I didn't put right here, and you might want to notate, is that any inverted triad or 7th chord has to have all of its notes. So in a triad, if it's a 1-6 or a 5-6 or something like that in first inversion, you must use all 3 of the notes of the triad. And same with an inverted 7th chord, you've got to use all of the notes of the 7th chord. And down at the bottom of that, under number 7, it says, these principles assume that you have written with the correct ranges, and that all the chords actually contain the notes you say they do. So very important that you spell the chords correctly. If you don't spell the chord correctly, no voice leading in, no voice leading out, that's a big hit. So don't let that happen to you. Be sure that you spell those chords correctly. And my timer just went off. So I hopefully have helped you get ready for next week with our practice exams, and for May 19th, the AP Music Theory exam. And so now go practice part writing and sight singing. And I hopefully will see you next week. Have a great day. Thanks for watching with me today. And hopefully we'll see you soon.